We are back.
It's in the game.
There was a video I saw where a guy, the original. You ever play the OG any EA title?
Of course.
Right?
I played it on Xbox, like the regular Xbox.
Oh, yeah,
the
like
big,
the original Xbox,
the big
the black
block.
one?
Yeah. With that little green fucking
Yeah.
button in the back.
I remember the first EA title I played was NBA Live 2000, like 00 or like 01.
Yeah.
And there was a video of a guy, he actually found that original voice actor and he got him to do the thing. It's pretty cool.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
It's in the game.
It's in the game.
You think you could be a voice actor?
I might have a shot, but I would really have to master like my low, like EA Sports. It's in the game.
Do you think you would lean towards doing shows, video games, or something else?
I probably want to do something, a combination of both, right? Because when you first start in anything, you want to just get money.
Sure.
So I think I'd start a company, but what would I be more proud of? Of fucking EA Sports, some shit like that? Or would I be more proud of like being a voice actor for like Nemo or some shit?
That's kind of what I mean, like picking
Right?
up.
I think eventually
What if you're on Family Guy, right?
You want to be you want to be on a show, right? Where it's like Cartman or some shit, right?
Yeah.
That'd be huge.
Yeah.
It's like this motherfucker's Cartman. And the beauty of voice acting is like you get a high end percentage of like what real actors get.
We can do a taste of that right now. Watch. Boom.
Hello. I am Vlad.
You know what I mean? I mean, in a way, if you think about it, some of the people that listen to our podcast do just listen. They never actually watch us because they can't be watching while they're driving.
Or they live in some village in Eastern Bloc Europe.
I mean, if those are the people that are watching, sure. But I'm talking about people like commuting to work or whatever, right?
Like Azamat.
Yeah. And in a way, we are voice acting for them, right? Like there's an element of that we are doing, right?
Do you feel like you're sexually arousing people with your voice? Have you ever felt like that where you like talk to a chick?
Oh, 100%.
And you're like, I'm arousing this chick with my voice.
100%. And I will unconsciously speak differently to girls when I'm in that mood. I don't want to say call it a mood, but when I'm in that mode versus when I'm talking to
me.
Well, yeah, I mean,
when you talk to me, your voice goes higher. I don't know if you start producing estrogen or
no. It's because when I get excited, when anyone gets excited, you speak faster, and when you speak faster, your voice will tend to go up as well. That's natural.
Yeah, yours does.
If you want, no, everyone's does. No one's voice goes faster and lower. When you slow down, that's when it gets low. You know what I mean? So that's
sometimes
those are the natural tendencies. When you slow it down, you're stretching out your words, so your voice, your tone goes down. When you start speaking faster, like that, you just have to because it's your voice keeping up with you.
Let me ask you a question about your possible future with like somebody that you might love. So imagine a girl, she's like really, I don't know, very attractive, but she's got a very ugly looking pussy.
What
is that a deal breaker for you?
You know what's a deal breaker for me? When you fucking these degenerate fucking questions, man.
Well, yo, we're degenerates.
It's like
why do we want to act?
You are, motherfucker.
Well, then what do you want me to do about it, though? It's like you're telling me
improve.
Yeah, but you can't improve from being who you are.
Yeah, you can.
Degeneracy is like part of my chromosome.
We talked about that multiple times. Of course, you can improve.
That's like saying, can you improve on being less of a spick? No, you probably can. It's like in your soul.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
You can't improve on what you like. Okay, it's invisible to you. Like it's your mentality. You know how the Jersey guys like, yo, it's my mentality. Listen, you take me to the ring, I go mental.
I don't know why I come here, man. Honestly, how the fuck
sometimes I wonder. I'm like, yo, Hector low key has a fetish, and I'd be like, yo, does he just come here to get fucking abused? What's the deal?
Secretly hate myself.
Yeah.
I just
self-deprecating.
Exactly.
That's honestly though, I'll tell you one thing. Being a degenerate, like at times I realize my funniest jokes are when I'm being self-deprecating because I don't actually care what people think of me. Like it doesn't affect me like let's say somebody thinks like Armand's retarded, like he's an idiot. Doesn't really matter to me. You know, I've known this. Like I have friends that like I know they think I'm retarded, but it's fine. Like for me, it doesn't matter. Whereas if I told you the same thing or somebody else or the general guy off the street, they'd be kind of hurt with the idea like, oh, fuck, this guy thinks slowly. Yeah. And I think that's a downfall. What do you think? Do you think caring about what people think is a downfall or no?
I think that is not an uncommon opinion at all, dude. I think most people would agree with you on that. Books have been written about this. The fucking one of the most popular books in the last few years, literally called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's the title of the book. It was a New York bestseller for many, many months. So much that there was a fucking sequel about it called, I don't remember the sequel of it, but that's been a philosophy of certain people is like, go do what you want and don't care what people think.
There's limits to this though.
I know, yeah. Some people exaggerate it to make the point. Yeah. But the idea, I believe, is sound. I don't think you should be a victim to what you believe people will think about you.
Yeah.
Because that can be extremely limiting.
Okay.
In your general life.
Let's put this idea into practice.
Sure.
You want kids, right?
Yes.
Say you have a daughter.
Okay.
She turns 19. Mm-hmm. She puts that ass on fucking OnlyFans.
Okay.
You gonna have the same mentality?
Of?
Don't care what people think about you. Because that's what is gonna hit you most, right? You're a Catholic guy. People are gonna say shit. Like, what's your mom gonna say if her granddaughter?
I would see that as a reflection of my parenting. If it got to that point, then
what's gonna stop her?
I would be more disappointed. No, hold on. What was the original question? Is it gonna still stand? Is like my thing of not caring what people think still gonna? Is that what you're?
No, I'm saying like your idea, your pushback is gonna be like my parenting skills are gonna be at a level where I teach her enough morals that she doesn't make this decision.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is that if that fails and all of a sudden what that scenario that you explained happens, I'm saying is I would see that
you failed as a parent.
Exactly. Like that would be a reflection more. I mean,
I think that's fair.
I would feel pretty terribly about that.
Yeah.
Because I'd be like,
would you try
even at this point, if I want to pull her back from this, it's like 19 years of her life led her to this, and a good portion of that is me and my wife parenting this child. Yeah. And if she gets to this point, that's a reflection on us way more than it is on her, because we were, or we should have been, a big influence on her upbringing. So to pull her back from this now, she's a fucking grown adult. Like, I can tell her anything that I want now, but at this point, if these are the decisions that she's made, well, it's an uphill battle. Is what's happening.
Sometimes I think you can implement parenting into a child's head, and sometimes I look at my life and I say, that's not the case. Maybe whether I'm the exception or not the exception, but like both my parents are very highly educated, non-criminals, like, you know what I mean? And I've completely opposed their life decisions in my own life. And, if you look at, my whole family lineage, everybody's pretty quiet. Even if you go back to somebody who grew up in my family, like right beside me, my sister, complete different. Mm-hmm. So I think in certain scenarios, yes, you're right. But there's certain odd situations where kids have a certain personality trait where like you can't implement fear or respect out of them.
The thing is, no one is born like that. That's not how biology works.
No, but right? You have certain kids that have more pushback.
All these things are inherited somehow. Now,
I think it's more genetic, though.
That's not really how it works, though. Like, when you start looking into it, that's not really like this whole, like, the warrior gene or like the...
No, it's not the warrior gene.
These things don't really work how you might think in that sense. So, what the interesting part about childhood psychology and adolescent psychology, that whole thing is that we're still learning about that to this day. It's not that this is a clear-cut science where we know that if you do these things, then this will be the outcome, or if you do things a certain way, you are guaranteed that it's going to come out like this. It doesn't work like that. It's not a clear-cut science where if you mix A and B together, you get C. Psychology is not a clear-cut science. That's why it's so interesting, because there's many different ways to explain certain outcomes. And I think the beautiful part about the whole thing is that the best thing that you can do is try and make your inputs be the best that you can and hope for the best.
Yeah.
You can't be kicking yourself afterwards and saying, "Oh, but I did all these things and yet it didn't turn out the way that I wanted to." It's not a guarantee.
No.
It's not at all.
So would you try to fight your kid on this, or would you let them just kind of live in it?
Bro, if it's 19, I ain't doing shit. What the fuck am I doing? They're a grown adult.
That's the difference between me and
you. What are you going to do? You're going to kill them?
No, I'm going to kidnap them.
Yeah, okay. Good luck with that, man. Like, you're going to kidnap them, then what? You're going to beat them into submission? What do you
Why does this have to always go aggressive?
No, because, like, it's all...
You're, like, assuming I'm going to go aggressive.
You just said kidnapping. That's not aggressive?
That's just... How is that non-physical kidnapping?
First...
Non-physical kidnapping can be very easily done.
Please explain for the judge.
Okay, so what is a physical kidnap to you, like by force?
No. You're not asking me questions. No,
I'm trying to open your mind, so I have to set certain fundamental boundaries with you, because you're a layman when it comes to these things.
Okay.
So a physical kidnap is like when I force you into something, right? A voluntary kidnap is like when I show you something and cover it. Kind of like the phrase I told you earlier, where we say it in Turkish, whereas we disguise something into something else and make you think it's something else. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're trying to do that with me right now. And
no. I'm not trying to do that with you. I would be trying to do that with like this metaphorical kid, right? This imaginary kid, right? It would be kind of like I would try to go into supporting them into thinking if all else fails, right? I mean, it comes down to the crossroads of I beat her ass or I fundamentally dilute her vision and turn her into something else that is not actually the case. So what I would do is I would bring up an opportunity where like she can do some type of promotion with some other OnlyFans person, right? Invite her over. And then I would just keep her in the house. Delete all of her shit.
How would you keep this person in the house?
By blocking the door.
Non-physical.
It's not physical. I think that there's certain things that...
I believe that you believe this.
I believe...
But I do not believe your shit at all.
I believe that you can force by not physically forcing. Because at a certain age, if just like you just said right now, if I go through 19 years of a kid and they have so much disrespect for me that they feel the urge that they can even possibly go through a life like that, then I failed. So I have to take some extracurricular activities and make sure that I force them out of this. Otherwise, it's like the other option is just like you said, I give up on the kid.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't give a fuck about the kid as much as I care about all those 19 years. That's what burns me the most. You know, when you go through relationships, right? And you end the relationship.
Yeah.
Do you want the girl to be happy later? Like, do you wish the best for them? Or are you just like, fuck, I wasted time?
It depends on why the split.
Yeah.
And how the split. So,
okay.
You know, the best case scenario for most people is where they're dealing with an impossible situation where it's like long distance, for example.
Yeah,
like, let's say you just got the craziest offer, whatever, you have to move, or, you know, military, like you get deployed, whatever the reason is, you get separated physically.
Yeah.
And then the circumstances, it's too much to overcome for you guys to come together. So you're like, you know what? It's best that we just split.
Yeah.
We should just break up because what are we doing here? Like I'm over here, you're over there, and there's no real way for us to kind of come together.
Yeah.
For the foreseeable future. So it's like we're in a good place, but unfortunately circumstances outside of our control. So that's at that point be like, yes, that's best case scenario because it wasn't because of the relationship, like you two together, but it was other stuff that split you apart. And you're like, all right, well, you know, I wish the best for you. Yes. In other ones, hell no, man. You're just like any number of reasons why, you know, a split goes badly, and you're like, no, you're like, fuck this person. So I think there's a lot of stuff in the middle there.
That's interesting because I don't actually take splits in a negative way. I just take it as like, didn't work, wasted my time. That's how I look at it. Like, it's not like I feel sour or something like that.
Even if
I kind of gave that up a while back when I was like 21 and that whole shit happened.
Well, that's probably why.
I kind of just stopped. I kind of stopped like looking at it like a negative thing or a positive thing or for this person or a thing. I just started thinking about just myself consistently. And I was like, well, that was a waste of fucking time. I didn't get what I wanted out of that. Now it's very simple when it comes to my eyes. It's either recreational or I'm going to build on it. If I decide to build on it and it goes south, I'm like, fuck, where did I fuck up? What red flag did I not read? And I think that's pretty much the most effective way of dealing with these Western cultures, because it's tough here, bro. It's definitely tough because it's not just the girls. It's like everything gets more expensive, right? And you realize like 5 years ago you're paying like $80 for two people. Recently you're paying like $200 for the same shit. No, dude,
yeah. I mean, in that
so it's
sense,
like then you realize like, yo, if I took $200, right, and just bought the whole bear market in a like some portion of a stock on TSX or some shit, or I just bought like a hedge fund or some shit, or even a hedge fund, because they say like, you know, these analysts, like Daniel said, they can't beat market averages, even though they promise you like better than market averages. Yeah. It's still a better investment than fuck $200 down the drain with some chick that's not gonna do much. So the best thing I could say is like read red flags at the best. Those guys are the thing, or just don't compete.
Yeah.
You know, like Dr. Evil, like focuses on exclusively one thing, which is interesting because what do we focus on? We don't focus on one thing, so we can't really be the best at that one thing. Like, you know, if you read any books with multi-billionaires, most of them give you a general pathway of like pick an industry. That's what they say. Pick an industry and then master that industry.
Right.
Whether it's podcasting, whatever. Have you picked an industry that you want to master?
No.
So like, what's the angle there? Is it like, because there's two paths in life, right?
Why I haven't? What do you mean, what's the angle?
There's literally two angles you can pick, right? Balanced lifestyle, or like pick a path and master the path.
Yeah.
Right. Which one have you picked?
The first one, balanced
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, are you sure you're gonna be content with that when you're 65?
I don't think you can be sure of anything 40 years in the future.
That's my point.
But I'm content with it now, and that's what I'm doing.
Do you think though that there's more negatives or hardships one way or the other? Like whether you pick like this lonely path where you're like trying to be an inventor, or some very hard road where you're like constantly lonely because obviously you're not spending this time and money and trying to have a balanced lifestyle, or do you think having a balanced lifestyle has more repercussions or complications?
I think the only way that the first one ever really works out is if you truly believe in what you're doing. Like if that is giving you so much payback and reward and fulfillment that you are beyond content doing just that thing, then yeah, sure, that's a very viable option. But if it's not, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
you're giving up so much for what? Something you don't even enjoy? Like what the fuck? What are we doing here?
That's what I want to go into next. Enjoy. Like, I think that's the most fluid shit ever. Like, what is it? What is enjoy? Like, what level?
Do you
what
feel
level?
content when you do things? It's not that hard, man.
Content. I don't think content is enjoy though.
Bro, it ain't that hard, man.
No. It is hard. It is hard.
No, it's not.
It is. Let me explain.
People overcomplicate this.
No. It's
the
not.
Time,
it's
man.
not. Content is something different than enjoy. It is two different. There's such a difference in level. Enjoy is like, for example, what's the favorite thing you like to do?
Well, the thing is, what are we talking about here? If you really want to get into this, dog,
let's make it quick, but let's get into it and finish it off with this.
You can't, though.
You can.
No, because you got to define shit properly, because you're mixing shit up that shouldn't be mixed up.
No, I'm not.
Enjoy is not an emotion. That's
no,
just
it's
not.
Nobody's saying it's an emotion.
Content can be an emotion. Enjoy
can
is not.
Be.
No, but that's just how, like, if you're saying you're happy, that's an emotion. Enjoyment, that's not an emotion.
No, but
fulfillment is also not an emotion.
After you do something,
so we need to describe this shit properly.
How you react. Content is like, how do I explain it? Satisfactory. Almost. It's not happy. right? Forget enjoy, right? How does content in a decision that you made, content means you've accepted it. Stop me where I'm wrong.
That's not how it works, though. What do you mean? Content is you accepted it.
What does content mean? Let's look it up. Let's look up content. This is going to somewhere interesting, I think. Content. Read that for me.
You're so wrong on this. Content. In a state of peaceful happiness.
Okay, keep going.
No, there's no keep going. That's what it is. That's the adjective. So you can use it as an adjective, as a verb, or as a noun. So which one do you want?
Let's go with noun.
Noun. A state of satisfaction.
Okay. So I wouldn't describe content as can't say the same as enjoy. Can you say that?
They're not. They don't describe they don't live in the same world.
I think enjoy would be a feeling, though. No.
Enjoy is not a feeling.
How do you define what a feeling is? You're enjoying something. Is that not a feeling? You're feeling towards something that you're doing? Like you're enjoying having
I'm telling you right now, we are the wrong people to be going deep into this. Like, I'm telling you right now. Anybody listening to this who actually knows what the fuck we're talking about is listening to us and going, these two fucking Goombas.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are these guys even doing? So let's rewind to the stuff that we actually can talk about, at least I think. And we're going on the whole balance versus the focus, right? Like that was the original question here. It was
some people enjoy
I'll just reiterate what I said earlier, where I said, because you said focus, lonely, blah, all this, or balance, and I was like, if you can find, I'll try and make it even more simple. If the focused state of life gives you so much joy that doing it basically provides you all the satisfaction you could ever require out of life, yes.
You wouldn't know that, though.
No, you of course you can. As you're doing it, you can feel it. Like, it's driving you. But what you're doing is giving you so much satisfaction that you don't need anything else. What you're doing...
Have you had that feeling?
No. For one thing, no, never.
I've never had that. I don't think.
But people do.
Some people.
People do. Like, and you can see it. These are like the top 0.01 percenters in all the things that they do. So one of the best examples are guys in science, for example, or art or anything. Guys that do something that to you or me would look so strange. You're like, how the fuck are you dedicating this much time to this one thing? Doesn't it bore you after doing it for 30 years, doing this one thing? Doesn't life get on the guys, you ask them, they're like, no. Like, I love getting up in the morning and doing this for the last 20 years. And you look at what they're doing, and it's so focused. It's like they're in a fucking desert, in the Atacama Desert, staring literally in one fucking section of space for 10 fucking years straight. And at the end of the 10 years, they come up with this thing. And you're like, how the fuck did you get up in the morning, 6 a.m. for 10 years straight, and you didn't, like, this was what you wanted to do? And they're like, yeah, man, I found it so fast. That is a prime example, because they don't get paid shit. By a lot of material measures, they're not getting great compensation for what they're doing, but yet it drives them so much. That's a good example, at least in my opinion.
It's interesting. It'd be hard to say that that'd be the one thing that they'd be good at, because in no lifetime you have enough time to try out everything that you think that you would enjoy or that you're content with.
It's a very interesting topic to go into, because you might ask somebody that is like this. You're like, how did you know? How did you know this is what you wanted to do? And as you mentioned, it's like,
shot in the dark.
Can you really figure it out empirically? No.
It's always a shot in the dark.
I think part of my opinion on this is that I believe people make it their purpose in life. Like, they didn't find it. They made it that way. Because you can only try so many things by the time you're aged, let's say 22. So if at 22 you just decided to dedicate your life into that one thing for the next 40 years, like, how many things did you really try to get to that point? Not really enough to say that, I tried 1,000 things and this one thing. It's like, no, you probably tried like, let's say 100.
There's also levels of dedication.
Right? So it's like, I think some people have that innate ability to make a one thing like their life's,
their not look back. Life's work. I think that there's a second part to that, not looking back, man.
I think that's a real skill too, actually.
Yeah.
That's a real skill that some people have, because a lot of people have issues with that.
Yeah.
Where they try something for months or years and they're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
That's a lot. That's a hard path to walk.
It is, man.
It's not easy. Bored and I need to move on to something else. But I've seen it more in people who want balanced lives, who think that they should have a balanced life. I don't personally believe in a balanced life. I just believe in doing things I want to do in the period of time that I can do them. Like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the same things I'm doing right now when I'm 50.
What do you mean by I don't believe in a balanced life?
Because balance is very subjective in life, right? Your balance might not be a balance to me, and my balance might be erratic for you. So what does balance mean? Like, it's a subjective word of what balance is. So, like, in my sister's eyes, she's much more conservative person than I am. Her life balance is not particularly balanced to me. Right?
Yeah, but I think even though it's subjective in nature, what's more important isn't the absolute value, but its relative value. So it's a relative value to you. You've gone through moments in life where you've been more focused than balanced. You can look at your life in the last 30 years and see those moments. I can too, where I'll be like, during these couple of years, I was definitely putting a lot of more time into this thing than I do now. And I kind of spread my time out more. Like you can do that. It doesn't have to be like me comparing my life to you. It's like, okay, did you have a point in time where you were more focused than now in one thing? The answer is probably yes. Right. And that's, I think, when people talk about balance is, do you feel that you're living a balanced life? Because some people, you'll talk to them, and people that are in worse situations than us, stress level speaking, they're like, oh man, I'm fucking so, and you're like, why, man? Like, what the fuck's got you up? It's like, man, I'm just, putting way too much time at work and blah, blah, this, it's got me so crazy. I have time for nothing else. You hear that a lot. People like, I got time for nothing else because this has got me fucked up.
Yeah.
That's an example of not living a balanced life. If they can say, I'm not living balanced, and okay, there you go. I think that's a good example.
So it is very much subjective.
Oh no, it really is. But like I said, I think what's the relative value is more important than the absolute. Because the absolute's impossible. Because like you said, it's subjective. How the fuck would you? You know what I mean? Because you could say, no, this is how I split my time, and I'd be like, oh my god, Armand, like that's crazy. How you spent so much time doing? And you're like, yeah, but I'm fine.
Yeah, I also think there's an idea that has been implemented through us, through many of sources, and it kind of stands by, you have to lower your stress. Mm-hmm. I don't think stress is bad. I think stress is good.
I used to, and I'm like, nah, man.
This is why I think stress is good. I think the mind is so much more powerful than what we think it is. And I think you can force, or train is a better word, reactions you have to certain situations in life. So obviously the cliche ways would be the optimistic approach, right? Some people would say, okay, well, I'm not as optimistic as some people. I'm more realistic, and so on and so forth. Same with stress, right? Some people might get implemented stress in their life. They might start losing it. And then some people might get stress in their life and they have a trained mind, and they're like, man, so this is where I got to be careful, because I make mistakes here. I start tripping. I start, stressing other people out, or I can take the stress and really hone it. Like the stress, kind of welcome the stress in a certain way. And I think those people don't get a negative side effect from stress. But then there's also people who take stress in and they start, I can't do that. What am I going to do? Like, just like you explained, right? So I think that is also the way you see things in life is very subjective, because someone in Africa and in the Congo being 6 years old, working these cobalt mines. I don't know if you've ever seen these things. Cobalt mines are fucking insane. That kid comes home for 4 hours and hangs out with his brother, and he thinks he's got a balanced lifestyle because he welcomes that stress. Versus like, you know, just like Omi Park, that chick, right? She ran away from North Korea at 13, saw her dad get killed, her whole family lineage in Korea, her mom get raped, she got raped. She comes to America, goes to school, goes to an Ivy League, starts making a book, goes on all these podcasts. She's had probably the most incredible stress. She's probably honed that in a way where regular people, I would say, in the probability of wanting a more balanced life, they would want less stress. Whereas somebody that doesn't want a balanced life, doesn't really try to, I guess, initiate a balanced life, they would like stress more, or they're more comfortable being stressed.
The thing is, stress isn't just in the mind. You kept repeating that. The issue with stress for a lot of people is that it doesn't just live there. It lives in the body too. And that's where it has real implications. It's
if you let it.
It's not if you let it. That's not how it works.
Stress in the body.
When it starts hitting you physically, that's the issue, right?
When has stress hit you physically?
What, you've never felt it?
No.
Okay, first of all, you've called me when you're stressed, so I know those moments.
No.
With you.
Feeling stress again. So have you? I'm not the best example of this. Let me explain.
Don't interrupt me, because I was still explaining my first thing, right? Have you never felt stress you never feel it in your gut? You never feel it anywhere? Like you've never felt?
I don't feel the physical. I define that though.
If you have not felt any physical manifestations of stress, you are probably an exception. Most people, especially in North America, with this whole like white collar world that we live in, feel stress in their bodies, not just in their minds. They'll feel a tension in their gut, like that nervous feeling that they get. Maybe you're going to tell me that you've never felt nervous too. If that's the case, well, I'm explaining these things to you for the first time, right?
This is not what I'm saying.
No, but let me finish. This is the issue with people. They'll get it in their shoulders, in their necks. They start getting it in their body physically, and then they start developing things from it afterwards. There is a reason why doctors will tell you, hey, you know, you're having these issues. It's due to stress. Mm-hmm. That's the issue with most of these people, is that they can't keep it confined to their minds.
And that's where I come in, is what I'm saying, is like there's a placebo effect of believing you're stressed, and there's a placebo effect in thinking that you're welcoming the stress. How you deal with that situation once you get stressed in the mind will eventually affect your body. Have I felt stressed? Yeah. There's situations where I'm older and I've dealt with stress a little bit better and it's been positive. And then if I, at that point where that stress ended, if I look back and I tell myself like, hey, fuck man, if I looked at this same situation and I was positive about the stress and welcomed the stress, seeing how it happened, should I even have been stressed in the initial first place? I could literally look back and say, no, I shouldn't have been, regardless of the situation.
That's a good take, but it's also like, it almost goes against the definition of, right? Because if you welcome it and you like it, it doesn't end up being stress anymore. That's kind of the whole point.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. So,
you know what it turns to? It turns into a stimulant.
Not even that.
No, it does.
No, because why? It's not a stimulant if it doesn't affect you anymore. It just doesn't. No, it's not even there anymore.
Again, what is affect? Affect is from equilibrium. It always affects you, but what you're trying to do is not affect you negatively, so you have this placebo effect in your body. So if you're constantly stressed and you do the same brain loop where you're like, fuck, and you go negative, well, then obviously you're going to have physical stress. What I'm trying to say is like, when you do feel stress, and I've been working in one of the most stressful environments, one of the most disrespectful environments in any industry. If you look across most industries, you get treated the worst in my industry. If you take that, you constantly get stressed every day. We got guys at work I see all the time quitting left and right because they're too stressed out. And what I'm saying is like, this whole time, let's say the last 12 years that I've been working, if I took every situation that I was mostly stressed in and thought about it positively, and thought about it like welcome the stress, I would probably perform a lot better. Not probably, 100% across the board. Because when you get stressed, you don't think that well. You don't think clearly.
Yeah.
You start thinking illogically, and it doesn't help you in any way to think like, you know, this is gonna work out. You always think, oh, it's not gonna work out. It's always gonna be. That's why you get the stress. That's why you get the anxiety.
In a way, like people, like you've already touched on before, people receive stress in different ways. For some people, it gives them a higher sense of urgency for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it makes them more anxious.
Yeah.
But their thoughts are still relatively rational.
Yeah.
It's just that there's a sense almost of like panic. Of they're like, oh shit, I gotta get this. Like they get hit with this crazy deadline, whatever the fuck the reason is. They're like, oh god, I have to do this. But they're not thinking, oh shit, oh my god. They're still thinking rationally. It's at a heightened sense. It's almost like an adrenaline dump for some people. Really, is what it is. And some people break the fuck down. You'll see it. You've probably come across a lot of people who, when they get stress overload, they just fucking. It almost like their brain just like short circuits. Like it just stops working. You try to talk to them, and they're like, I don't know. And you're like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
They're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, and they're like, all right, man, just take a breath.
Chill out.
Yeah, I'll take this for you. So people accept stress in different ways. But I think the main thing that we started talking about from the beginning here was, is it useful? I think people would say that it is, but the issue is once you accept it and start using it, how do you deal with it in a positive manner? For me personally, bro, I don't care anymore, man. Like I don't care for it. I've gone through it enough where for me, I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, I felt it. I felt what that looks like or what that is. I don't want it anymore. So when I come to situations where it might in the past have given me stress, I just don't care. And that not caring goes a long way for like eliminating a lot of stress. Because me 5 years ago and some of the situations I'm in right now at work would have been like, oh shit. And would have stayed up and like worked late and like, oh damn, I gotta get this. Oh, this. Now I'm like,
who cares?
Yeah, like what the fuck? Like, why am I stressing myself for this? And then I stop.
Yeah. So
it's a different mentality that I have now for a lot of the things that I went through last year. I wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for some of these certain things that happened that you know about that happened to me last year.
Yeah.
So it's interesting being where I am now, handling certain situations that 2021 Hector would have been like, yo, this is fucked. And the way that I come across now to people, like when I tell them, they might get the impression that, you know, I just don't give a fuck, that I'm late, all this shit. And I'm okay with people thinking that because I don't really care to explain to people how it is that I actually got here.
Yeah.
It's not that I was always like this. It's not. It's that I made certain choices after I was dealt certain cards in my life that I said, you know what? I'm going to be better off if I put myself in this position than if I stay where I am.
Right.
So that's my thing with the whole stress bit.
I want to end this with this. In life, everything is a tool. Right? And stress is one of those things. You could either use it as a shovel, you could use it to dig yourself out of something. You can use it as, you know, a wrench to tighten something up. Or you can use it as, you know, one of your friends, man, to let you know that you're slipping. It's retroactive to who you are and how it's going to, you know, help you. I think when you master your mind of being able to master stress, you really master life, because those are the type of people that can start selling fucking shoes on the side of the street. And, you know, within a decade or two, you know, they're, you know, multimillionaires, right? And stress is a funny tool because it could either drown you or it could really help you, man. It could really show you like, fuck, man, like you could do a lot better. Because literally in this society, the highest paying jobs are the most stressful. And the people who get paid the most are the people who can endure stress the most. You look at top jobs, right?
Mm-mm.
CEOs, COs, doctors, lawyers, surgeons. You know, I would say surgeon level is the best example. Would you say surgeons accept and welcome stress, or would you say that they run away from it? Of course they welcome it. Because how you would be a failing surgeon if you especially are dealing with a life or death situation where you run away from stress. Over years and years and years, you see surgeons become almost inhumane to pain or emotional pain or any of these things. And that's because of the fact that over time, they've welcomed stress, and the stress doesn't catch them slipping. Right?
Do you want to try and get a surgeon on here? I think that'd be really interesting.
What kind of surgeon, though?
Doesn't matter. Just a surgeon. Bro, we got to start from somewhere.
Man. No.
I'm not saying when you get the fucking top surgeon in Vancouver.
No. That's not what I'm saying. The reason I'm saying is because I come from a long line of
surgeons here, like
medical professionals.
I'm talking like a practicing surgeon.
Let me explain this. Don't interrupt me.
In the area.
Don't interrupt me. Let me explain this. I don't think we would get much out of a dermatologist or a surgeon who deals with cosmetics. I think we'd get a lot more out of somebody who's dealing with a life or death situation. That's why I condone getting a surgeon who's life or death. Any guest would help, obviously, to get some insight. But I would say the people who are dealing with that life or death would be a lot more interesting conversation with them, because then they're a grim reaper, man. It's crazy how it is.
When I think of a surgeon, that's kind of, I already assumed that.
Yeah.
Right? That's like when most people think of surgeons, they don't really consider that a dermatologist is a surgeon, even though they are, because they'll
technically.
Yeah, they are, because I mean when they get skin cancer,
technically.
But I think when people think of surgeons, thinking like orthopedic surgeons, hearts, obviously everyone thinks of the hearts, neurosurgeons, all those like your classical surgeons.
Yeah.
Any of those guys is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If we get, I mean, if you know anybody, whatever, I'll reach out.
Mine wouldn't be interesting. I know a couple of cardiologists.
Oh, do they do surgery?
Yeah, they work at VGH.
Do they perform surgery?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, could you get them on?
The thing is, they're not the most, it's kind of like interviewing Dr. Evil. They're the most introverted, non-spoken, like it wouldn't be how do I say this? There would be nothing we get out of it because they're very robotic people.
So I'm guessing they handle stress well.
Very well. Like you could switch these guys into hitmen probably fairly easily, given the fact that they weren't such nerds growing up. If they had a more hardcore upbringing, they could have went two ways, right? Very stressful blue collar, white collar job, or straight criminal that like slices and kills people to give organ transplants to high-end officials.
Honestly, I think it still might be worth it. If it's crap, we just
obviously.
Episode. But yeah, if you can do it. I know a couple of people.
The other interesting thing is,
I think we should try
is I think what would be most fun would be to get girls on the show more frequently, and I have access to that, and I think that would be the funnest isn't a word, but I would say it'd be much more satisfying having that, in my opinion, than having a surgeon. I grew up with these like academics, like in my country and in my own family. They're not like, I've been around them. They're not the most interesting people. They're very like, I'll give you an example of what this is, and I kind of want to end on this, or whatever else you want to say. But basically, people who specialize in something aren't very well rounded. I'll give you an example. You ever meet somebody who excels and masters an industry? They don't master anything else. When you talk to most doctors, if you talk to them outside their scope of being a doctor, usually they don't have much insight. And it's because they've invested so many hours to hone their craft that they don't have anything else to say. They haven't done the research. They haven't looked at anything else because they've been so sharply laser focused on one thing. That's probably from the top professions of people that I've actually come across and befriended and kind of know the insights of their lives. They're not the most interesting people.
Outside of their subject knowledge.
But
that's kind of the point, is that we would be bringing them on for their subject knowledge.
No, listen, I'm not, don't take me the fact of me saying no to this. I'm just saying people who
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with them being
I'm cool
that
too.
way. Yeah.
I'm just saying that's my experience with them is that they're not interesting outside them. Just like a girl isn't interesting out. If she's a hot chick, she's not interesting outside of her fucking visuals. You know, I've never met a girl where she's like pretty goddamn close to a dime piece, and I talked to her and I'm like, fuck, you've really changed my mind. I fucking wish I lived in a fucking world where I talked to a dime piece and I'm like, fuck, man, you really give me some insight. Like, I could really think about this and consider. Thank you so much for this fucking information.
I'm trying to picture you speaking like that.
It's always like, fuck, you're an idiot. You want to suck this dick or what? And if she says no, all right, fuck you, bye. If she says yes, great, let's go. That's literally how it goes down for me. And I think, honestly, for outspoken guys, it probably goes down the same way.
You know what? You'd be an excellent candidate to be gay.
No. What?
Yeah, because you get the dick sucking, and then you also get the, oh my God, man, you've really given me a lot to think about.
No, I don't think guys do that.
So you don't think anyone's interesting, is what you're telling me?
Very few people. This is why.
What we're getting at here
is nobody's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The thing is, the thing I want to say with the interesting thing is, like, most people are average, and average people usually aren't interesting.
Hence the average,
right? Because if you look at big scale, we're average too,
of course,
right? And like, if you compare us with somebody who isn't average, well, they're obviously more interesting. Whether it's non-average in a certain context, so like criminally, they're non-average.
Yeah.
So they're straight psychopaths. Why is it that they don't make shows on average guys like us, but they make shows on psychopaths and sociopaths that killed people, and now they're infamous?
They do make shows on average people. It's called reality TV.
Yeah, but it's not as interesting as some fucking killer show on Netflix.
For you.
No, for me, it's for most people. Look at the ratings. If you go, if you look up,
bro, look at the ratings on some of this garbage TV. There's a reason why people watch this shit.
Hold on, reality TV is made for average people.
Yes.
Right. But if you were gonna say majority of people,
actually, all of media is actually made for average people. Why? Because you're supposed to make the most money off of it, and how do you do that? By getting the biggest audience. So by nature, it's
that. But I'll tell you, like, if you're an average person, you're watching average people. You're watching something that's been done before, whether in your life or somebody else's life.
Agreed.
So it's not interesting. But when you see something in activity, whether it's killing 17,000 people or fucking doing some crazy thing, well, obviously it hasn't been done before that frequently. Therefore, it is more interesting. Things that haven't been done, are rare to do, are more interesting. That's why people who have done rare things collect an interest of fans around the world that find them interesting. Right? Because if that was the case where average people were interesting, then average people would have fans all the time. But they don't. If you look at people who have fans, they're not average. Rest my case.
And with that, we're the fuck out.
All right. Peace.
Peace.